Hey everyone, it's Warren here with a new episode of Theory Thursdays. Sorry I didn't get it out yesterday on actual Thursday. I'm really sick and my voice was really shot, but it's a little bit better today, which is great because we have some awesome theories to go over this week. If you're new to Theory Thursdays, it's a new segment I do where you all submit your theories and each Thursday I review 5 and you vote on your favorite one, and then at the end of the month you vote on your overall favorite theory. If you'd like to submit your own theory for a chance to end up on an episode of Theory Thursdays, you can find the instructions in the description down below. Alright, as I mentioned, we have some awesome theories this week, so let's get started. The first one comes from Shubham Samgupta, and Shubham thinks that all of the movies in the MCU, every one of them starting with Iron Man, are in a time loop. Shubham says that Avengers Endgame will have the only scenario out of all 14 million scenarios where Thanos gets defeated. Tony Stark's injury in the left arm, which is shown in almost every movie, could be due to using the gauntlet in one of the other scenarios in the MCU timeline. Also, Ant-Man showing up in the Endgame trailer might be from the past and not from the future. Also, Doctor Strange appearing in the midst of conversation between Stark and Potts and congratulating them for their future marriage also hints at the whole series being in a time loop. Even the visions that the Avengers had in the movie Age of Ultron suggest that they had already gone through the death events of Infinity War, and somehow Wanda's spell had made them revisit the past in a form of illusion. This is also how Barf Tech could come into play in Avengers Endgame. They could use Barf Tech and their old memories to help them stop doing the same mistakes that they did in the past, ultimately leading them to defeat Thanos. I haven't heard this theory before or any other variations of it, but there are actually ways that it could make sense. Doctor Strange was in possession of the Time Stone. He could go forward in time, but he could also go backwards in time. Perhaps the only way to defeat Thanos was to put all of the events in the MCU in a time loop to give the Avengers multiple attempts to defeat Thanos. And then when the Avengers finally figure out the way to do it, Doctor Strange ends the time loop. We know that Avengers Endgame is supposed to wrap up the first 10 years of the MCU, starting from the very first Iron Man movie to Avengers Endgame. And revisiting the events of the past in Avengers Endgame would certainly be a nice way to end the first 10 years. So that's theory number 1, on to theory number 2. Theory number 2 comes from BJ Pullman. BJ says that the biggest theory out there is that the Avengers will use time travel to defeat Thanos and fix what happened in Infinity War with the new quantum realm suits. But BJ says that time travel is too messy. No matter how you go about it, you mess something up. The Avengers are good, but they're not that good. So the Avengers use the quantum realm to travel back in time, and as they do this, they start disrupting timelines. And as they do this, someone catches on and has a big problem with it, and that is the Living Tribunal. A deadly confrontation ensues as the Living Tribunal doesn't know the intentions of the Avengers, so he tries to stop them. As the Living Tribunal confronts the Avengers, he realizes that they have sincere intentions and only seek to undo Thanos' snap. The Living Tribunal, as the second most powerful deity in the universe, places the Avengers back in time in the original timeline to fight Thanos again, but this time on their terms and not Thanos' terms. This is where we will see the footage of the Hulk fighting in Wakanda as we did in the Infinity War trailers. And this time the fight will go differently because the Avengers will know what to do and they'll know Thanos' weaknesses. This is also when some sacrifices come into play. Cap will give his life to save Tony, Tony will retire for good and have a family. Thor and Captain Marvel will lead the charge in Phase 4 as the cosmic main heroes. There's definitely a precedence for the Living Tribunal to show up in Avengers Endgame. The Living Tribunal's purpose is to judge and make sure the universe maintains balance. And if the Avengers start time traveling and start messing up different timelines, the Living Tribunal may step in. And it would make sense that he would want to help the Avengers undo Thanos' snap because that would bring balance back to the universe. And we know that the Living Tribunal exists in the MCU because he was mentioned in Doctor Strange. So that does it for theory number 2, on to number 3. Theory number 3 comes from Trident Silver, with a theory on how the X-Men and the Fantastic Four can enter the MCU. Trident says that in the 1980s, Marvel released a 12-part comic book series called Secret War. A cosmic entity known as the Beyonder took parts of different planets and brought them together to create the Battleworld planet. Marvel has confirmed that Phase 4 will be focused on expanding the MCU horizon, so it would make sense that the end credit scene of Avengers Endgame would hint at the next major villain. In Thor: The Dark World, Dr. Eric Selvig showed the possibility of numerous Earths. The Beyonder could pull parts from the different Earths to create the battle planet. One Earth could include characters like the Avengers, the other one could include characters like the Fantastic Four and the X-Men, and another could include characters from Sony like Venom and Spider-Man. This is also a way to explain why the X-Men or the Fantastic Four have never been mentioned or seen in the MCU. This would make a true MCU movie of epic proportions. This would be a way to have a massive movie with a ton of Marvel characters in it. And if Marvel decides to implement the X-Men and the Fantastic Four in the MCU but still keeps them away from the Avengers, this would be a great way to bring them all together. This would certainly be something they would have to build up over time, much like they did for Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. So that does it for theory number 3. On to number 4. Theory number 4 comes from Angel Rocha. Angel says that in the Avengers Big Game TV spot, we get a look at War Machine and Ant-Man as if they were about to enter into battle. But in a recent leak that we got, it shows War Machine and Ant-Man battling with new white suits, possibly the Quantum Realm suits. And with another leak that shows us the Avengers Super Quinjet, it seems like a battle is taking place in the same area. It has different heroes and it shows the Avengers mansion in the background. This means that all the heroes in the big game spot were getting ready to defend themselves from an invasion, most likely because Thanos knows they will try to stop him. So in the group shot of the Avengers, they should all be wearing their white suits, which they probably edited out for the trailer. So how did they get their white suits? Well, Iron Man would have had to make them. Which means that Tony would have had to return to Earth pretty early on in the film, which is presented in the shot of Captain America, Black Widow, Bruce Banner, and Rhodey looking into the sky outside of the Avengers facility in the Avengers Endgame Big TV spot. So the intro scene of the movie could possibly be Tony Stark going back to Earth and meeting the Avengers. Then Thanos notices the Avengers' preparation and sends an army to invade while Tony and the others are making the new white suits. This is something that could definitely come into play, especially with how sneaky the Russo brothers and Marvel Studios are with their trailers. I do suspect that in some scenes in the trailers, the Avengers are actually wearing the new white suits, they're just edited out. And Thanos does have all of the Infinity Stones. He could easily check in to see what the Avengers are doing, see that they're trying to undo the snap, and send an army to stop them. So this could all definitely happen in Avengers Endgame. So that's theory number 4. Now on to the final theory, number 5. Theory number 5 comes from Kimon Tillman. Kimon says that Doctor Strange saw 14,605 different outcomes in which the Avengers only won one, which means that Thanos only lost one of them. Kimon says, what if there is a possibility that Thanos may have seen that one scenario in which he lost to the Avengers? Could he have used a source to perhaps see this one outcome? Because there are a lot of questions in regards to Thanos that remain unanswered. For example, how could Thanos know all of the locations of all of the Infinity Stones if he did not use some type of source to see the outcomes? How could Thanos know about the Power Stone on Xandar? How could he know about Eitri and his people and his ability to make an Infinity Gauntlet? How could he have known the Space Stone was located on Thor's ship? How did he know that the Reality Stone was at nowhere, and how did he know that the Guardians would come? And there are many other questions like these. Kimon says, remember what Wanda said right in the conversation about Vision, and they can clearly find us. So Thanos may potentially have a source to find out about the Infinity Stones and their locations. Well, Kimon says that the source could be the Living Tribunal or an alternate version of Thanos from the Battle of New York. Maybe the head of the Living Tribunal that was listening to half of what Thanos was asking for was maybe unaware of what Thanos was about to do. So this could mean that the Living Tribunal could be the new threat arising to truly balance the universe. The Living Tribunal is a cosmic entity that has been talked about a lot in regards to appearing in Avengers Endgame. And again, we learned in Doctor Strange that the Living Tribunal does exist in the MCU. And Kimon does make a point that Thanos has a lot of information about things that seem impossible for one person to know unless he got that from a source that's all-knowing, such as the Living Tribunal. And the Living Tribunal's job is to maintain the balance of the universe. So it's definitely a possibility that he would want to interfere after Thanos' snap. Well, that's it for theory number 5 and all of our theories for this week's Theory Thursday. Let's do a quick recap so you can vote on which one was your favorite. Theory number 1 is that the entire MCU from the beginning of Iron Man number 1 to Avengers Endgame is in a giant time loop. Theory number 2 is that when the Avengers time travel, they will actually end up disrupting timelines. This causes the Living Tribunal to appear, but when he realizes that they're trying to undo Thanos' snap, he sends them back in time to face off against Thanos. Theory number 4 is how the X-Men and the Fantastic Four can enter the MCU by the Beyonder bringing different planets together to form the Battleworld planet. And theory number 5 is that the Living Tribunal actually told Thanos about the locations of all of the Infinity Stones and then shows up at the end of the movie to be the new threat. So those were all of this week's theories. Be sure to vote up above on which one you thought was your favorite. And again, if you want to submit theories of your own for your chance to end up in an episode of Theory Thursdays, you can find the email to submit them to and the instructions in the description down below. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss an episode of Theory Thursdays and so you can stay up to date on everything relating to Marvel. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.